What's going on, YouTube? This is your Melanated Warrior, Heru Heinous, and this is another installment of Facts Over Feelings. Leave your feelings at the door so we can get to the facts, and we right back at it. Of course, we got a banger. You know, this is going to be a mixture of the mundane and the esoteric, so let's get right into it. Of course, salutations to all you melanated gods and goddesses. I really hope that you're doing well, and we right back at it, because, you know, this, and I know this may be one of those episodes where it does seem like I'm going all over, but I am. I'm gonna bring it back full circle. Trust me, because we got a lot to get into. So let's get started. What compelled me to do this video was, out of all my ripping and running around that I was doing, you know, I ran into a couple of people, you know, from different persuasions, different backgrounds, and we had some very interesting conversations. Of course, it didn't go the way that they thought it was gonna go, because they thought that I was gonna have the traditional talking points, conventional talking points, but of course, they were in for a surprise. And it made me realize, and I mean, it only vindicated, or validated rather, what I've been saying this whole time, which is that, you know, you're dealing with individuals out there that suffer from compartmentalized information. They don't have the whole story, and the people who suffer greatly from that, because, you know, that was a part of the design, are blancos. They running around not knowing their own history, and to add insult to injury, they got, you know, people from our community parroting these talking points, not because they don't know. Not because they don't know. They think that that's the winning team. They think that that's the winning team. And they're not. The winning team is those who are part of the natural matrix, those who are given their credence through the metu netta. That's the winning team, but they can't see it. So what they like to do, and you know, we got to say some names here, you know, because this is just what it is, because like I said before, this is a mixture of the mundane and the esoteric, so we're going to make all of it relevant. You know, when you got individuals like Candace Owens, Coons Owens, however you want to articulate her, and Jesse Lee Peterson, and the Tommy Sotomayor's, all these individuals, and the division set between, you know, men and women in our community. These platforms all are dealing with, you know, their mind being captivated. That's what's happened, because you have to understand, the first one to the mind is the winner. That's why I always tell people, you know, and I know some people who have platforms and, you know, have some success, whether it be mild or, you know, whether they have a huge platform, they've run into this, where they've run into a situation where they've been confronted by someone online and say, oh, well, what are you doing? You know, now I'm not here to argue whether or not they are you know, very are well pronounced within the movement in their own community, or on the regional or national level. That's, you know, we'll have to do some further investigation in terms of that. But what we have to realize is that we cannot marginalize how important it is to get to the mind of our youth first. Like, I'm not, like, for instance, I'm not a big fan of Umar in terms of his action. Okay, but in terms of his rhetoric, I mean, he's like a preacher. You know, you don't really see them out there in the community doing too much, but when they get on that pulpit, oh, they can move mountains. But the fact of the matter is, and I'm not saying that, we just have to understand that with our people, and I know a lot of us are like this, just like I'm a big fan of, you know, I love what Farrakhan talks about, but I'm not going to be a Muslim. I respect those who are of the faith. It's just that leaders have common sense to know that we got the message. We don't have to be like the messenger. We got the message. You see, that's why it's important to understand, you know, how critical it is to be a part of be a part of the framework that begins to rebrand, if you will, the image of the black man and the black woman. I would rather have my children listening to people like us than to have them listening to a foreign tongue or a foreign outlook. That's what's important. We have to realize that. So we always complain about, oh, well, yeah, we don't have anybody, you know, representing us in the media. And then when you got these brothers on the underground level doing that, and these sisters on the underground level doing their best to take up that responsibility, they get criticized. What do you want? Do you want it or not? Because it doesn't matter if you go out there and give shoes away or clothes away or free turkeys on Thanksgiving. If these niggas' minds are still corrupt, they have to have the right mind first. It's just, any parent knows this. You can spoil your child to death. Oh, look what I do for my child. I do this. I give them shoes again. But then, you know, if they don't understand the importance of what you're doing, you're just spoiling your child. And then what are they going to do? They're actually going to, you're actually going to feel the brunt of that and all the negativity that comes from those actions, rather than what you feel was a part of helping that child to appreciate you. And the reality of it is that will go over their heads. You see, so we don't want to get into spoiling our communities. In a sense to where we just out there, well, let's give. I donated this, I donated that. Well, if they don't have the mind to appreciate it, and if they don't have the wherewithal to utilize those resources effectively, then all was for naught. That's why they didn't mind giving. Think about it. That's what's so cold, because they know that they have the minds of our people in our community. So when it came to, that's why they can sit up there and say what they say without even doing any research. Oh, these niggas is on unemployment, or they took all of these loans, and we already know that they went and bought rims and cars and clothes and see, they know, because they already have your mind. They don't have to worry about. You think if every black person, every black man and woman was a revolutionary within the community, they would have gave you a damn dollar? You wouldn't have seen one red cent. But see, what I'm asking is, because I've engaged in a couple conversations with people from different persuasions, with in the persuasion you already know, that was more pronounced than any other was our counterparts in society who and one guy in particular, one Blanco in particular, worked at the post office, and he was talking about, and I bullshit you not, I'm just coming over there to mail off a first class package. That was all I was coming to do. And he had, I guess for some odd reason, wanted to strike up a conversation with me. And what was crazy about it wasn't the fact that, of course, I was able to just dismantle all of the false narratives and beliefs that this guy had, and open his mind up to different things. But it was so amazing how he was talking about, at the dinner table a couple of days ago, and then at the dinner table about a week or so ago. I'm just like, damn, how much do these Blancos be talking about us? Like, I don't be at my, when I fix my, I just don't think, even when we at family barbecues and gatherings, we just don't be like, well, Blancos be, and white folks need to, we just don't have them conversations. Maybe we need to. Black people, because I'm telling you, they talk about you, they can't keep your name out their mouth. That's why I told you, don't have trivial conversations with these Blancos. I'm telling you, they're talking about you more than you know. This is one of the reasons why I can't, like I told you before, Coons Owens, Jesse Lee Peters, and all of these individuals are so important, because this is the way that they're telling you what they think. And because they know it's all based on lies, it's not just that it sounds better coming out of somebody's mouth who looks like you. It helps to bring weight to the lie, make it seem as if there is some truth in it, like it has, like I said. But the reality of it is they know that it weighs as much as about a feather, and as soon as a strong wind comes along, it blows it all away. Just for instance, take a look at what Coons Owens, because, trust me, I'm going to bring this all full circle. Take a look at what Coons Owens was saying about LeBron James. Now, the fact of the matter is, this goes to show you, they don't have to do their research, because they know what? They know that you're not going to do the research. Remember what she was saying? She was like, oh, well, yeah, and, LeBron James responded, harshly with, about this officer, and he said that, and could compromise the officer's life with the tweet that he put out there, and yada yada yada, and there should be some backlash from the black community, but of course, these young black males and all these, they look up to LeBron and all of this different stuff, and then that would be, since we think that's how we all think, or that our youth think like that, of course what happens? We say, oh, well, yeah, maybe she do got a point. She ain't got no point. Let me show you why she don't got no point and she ain't never did her research. Because the fact remains, like we said before, one, they underestimate how powerful our culture is. That's one thing that they're underestimating. Two, is that she's just wrong. And so we're going to show you Like I said, 1976 Copyright Act, Section 107. Allowances made for fair use. This is for purposes of commentary, criticism, education, scholarship, and overall here at the FOF Squad, waking your ass up. So we're gonna go to a video right quick, just to show you exactly what I'm talking about. And I'm gonna make a blanket. I'm gonna make a statement that seems grandiose, but of course there's gonna be a lot of truth into it, and you're gonna see why I said that. So for the thing is that when she was talking about, notice how she was talking. She had this myopic view about our culture, and she said something like, "Oh, well, yeah, black, we should." It's almost as if blancos have power too. Oh, you guys should stop supporting him. You guys, along with the black community, but there should be some, his endorsement should stop. Look how she talking, because, like I said, once again, she knows that you're not going to do your research. Why do we not? Black people nor blancos can do nothing about it. Do you hear what I just said? Black people nor blancos cannot do nothing about what LeBron James money. And I'm going to show you why. Let's get into it. Watch how I bring this full circle. Watch how I show you, just with a little bit of research, where things can take you.
Wait.
Hold on for a second, people.
In 2019, 10 cent in the NBA site. There are a lot of these. For years, the NBA has been sending teams to China, where more people watch NBA games than in the United States. The purpose is to play basketball, meet Chinese fans, and have players like Rip Hamilton spread a clear message. The NBA has worked hard to build a successful business in China, but then they almost lost it all because of a single tweet. It was March of 2000, and President Clinton was pushing for a trade deal with China, despite concerns about China's human rights record.
It does deny its citizens fundamental rights of free speech and religious expression. It does define its interests in the world, and sometimes in ways that are dramatically at odds from our own.
Just a decade before, China's government put down an uprising at Tiananmen Square.
Human rights, not trade!
And in 1999, Americans also had concerns about China's record in Taiwan and Tibet.
The Fortune 500 companies are controlling the American foreign policy in China. This is wrong. It's got to stop. President Clinton, we are asking you to take a courageous position.
But Clinton insisted that doing business with China would have a positive impact on their human rights platform.
The question is not whether we approve or disapprove of China's practices. The question is, what's the smartest thing to do to improve these practices?
Bill Clinton came to think that engagement, that trade, that direct contact would have a positive impact on the human rights situation in China, as well as improving the overall U.S.-China relationship.
The next year, China joined the WTO.
2001 is important because that's when the country enters into the World Trade Organization.
Pause. They entered into the World Trade Organization in 2001. What also happened in 2001? Okay, I'm just y'all put it together.
Which greatly simplifies doing business, not just with the United States, but with the entire world.
The Chinese economy was about to take off. U.S. businesses began investing in China, and eventually Chinese companies would start investing back in the U.S.
As China became richer, as China became more integrated into the global economy, it became a more important market for the United States.
After 2001, the average Chinese person had more disposable income as a result of the rapid growth. It was the perfect moment for the NBA to build a business in China, and it all started right here.
With the first pick in the 2002 NBA draft, the Houston Rockets select Yao Ming from Shanghai, China.
Pause. So now you know these drafts ain't got nothing to do with talent. All political moves. Let's keep going.
At the time, Yao Ming was 21 years old watching the NBA draft on a laptop in China.
Fully comprehend for yourself the
Chinese basketball, and for the NBA, what it means to be the NBA's #1 overall pick.
Yao was the NBA's next big thing for fans in China, where basketball has been popular ever since it was introduced by missionaries in the 19th century. When the Communist Party came to power, they banned most Western sports, but basketball was embraced as a national passion. But China never produced a star player until Yao.
Yao Ming Company.
Now they could watch a Chinese player playing at the same level of these legendary greats and playing Shaq.
200 million Chinese viewers tuned in for his first game against Shaq and the Lakers.
You're watching live in Shanghai, 10:30 in the morning, as O'Neal goes right at me.
Compare that to 9.9 million, the average number of Americans that watched the NBA Finals that year.
The average number of Americans that watched the NBA Finals that year was Shaq, Kobe, and all of that. 9.9. 200 million Chinese tuned in to watch Yao Ming play. Coons Owens, is you listening to this? You see how powerful black culture is? It wouldn't have mattered if every American stopped watching basketball today. That market would still survive because of China. Let's continue on. Hold on.
Oh, just.
At Amazon, we
Hold
help
on,
people
sorry
find
about
a
that,
new
people.
career path, even if that path
Hold on one
doesn't
second.
include us.
This is Shaq on the Great Wall of China. 200 million Chinese viewers tuned in for his first game against Shaq and the Lakers.
You're watching live in Shanghai, 10:30 in the morning, as O'Neal goes right at me.
Compare that to 9.9 million, the average number of Americans that watched the NBA Finals that year.
Down big man. Yao, first touch.
Yao became a household name in China, and soon American companies turned to him for endorsements.
Can Jimmy play?
Hi, Yao. Jimmy!
Get it, Garmin.
The new 17-inch model.
Yao's popularity also helped the NBA develop their fan base there. In 2004, the NBA started sending teams on an annual summer tour of China, where the Houston Rockets became a fan favorite simply because that was Yao's team. The tours brought the biggest NBA players to China and boosted the league's popularity. For comparison, the NBA has slightly more Twitter followers than the next major sports league in the United States. But in China, the NBA dominates social media platforms like Weibo. Nearly 500 million people watched NBA games last year using Tencent, China's largest streaming platform. That's more than the entire population.
More than 500 million people watch the NBA over in China. That's more than the population here in the United States of America. Say what again? See what I'm saying? See how not only is she wrong, they marginalize the impact of your culture and how the impact that it has on the rest of the world. That's why you can't listen to these coons. I'm trying to tell y'all, because see, what you have to understand is, but you already know how I get down. Y'all know I keep receipts, and y'all know that my thinking is on a whole nother level. That's why I don't really spend too much time, because this shit, they make this shit too easy. They make this shit too easy. See, what we're dealing with, just like how when we were talking about, over in the last segment, when we had told you about how I had a comment, somebody said, well, you didn't specifically say who did what in Haiti. I said I didn't need to have to say who did what in Haiti. I'm letting you know that it's a system, because anytime that you're dealing with a situation where you think that it's just one person or a group of individuals, then you think that the situation can be handled, that there's some sort of solution waiting in the background. No, there's not. Because when you understand that it's a system, then all of a sudden your antennas is up and you're like, oh, okay, what are we going to do about this? Because this is a well-oiled machine that we find in contrast to our energy that we're putting out there. You see what I'm saying? It's just not one group of people. So when you're starting to see that, there's these intelligence agencies and all of them that got their claws and these governments preventing them from maintaining any sort of sovereignty, and saying that all of this turmoil and all of this instability is on account of them entertaining some idea of socialism or communism, then you're way off. You're way off. You act like they wasn't already in there doing their damage. Why are they there? Why are they there? You see, that's what you got to be asking yourself. Oh, you don't think that I got receipts? See, first of all, this is the thing. If this country was so poor, so inept, how are they getting these weapons? How are they getting these sophisticated weapons to go to war with one of the most premier and prominent intelligence agencies on the planet? Oh, you don't know about this? Let's pull up another receipt. Let's pull up another receipt, because I'm finna show y'all how this goes, man. I'm finna show y'all how this goes, because I don't know, for some odd reason, man, y'all thought it was a game. You thought it was a game. We finna show you. Give me 1 second.
Looking for feedback? How you ask is everything. Neat type.
The intelligence community is investigating what appears to be an increase in suspected radio frequency attacks on U.S. officials that are impacting their health. CBS News reports so far this year, more than a dozen CIA officers have returned to the U.S. from abroad, reporting symptoms that include vertigo, dizziness, and persistent headaches. The mysterious illness has been a concern for years now. In some cases, has ended careers. CBS 4's Natalie Brand has more for us.
Danger. But this was the scariest moment of my life because it was so disorienting.
Former senior CIA intelligence officer Mark Polymeropoulos says a work trip to Moscow about 3 years ago changed his life and ended his 26-year career.
Pause. First, you see, it starts off in Moscow, but the title of this video is called the Havana Syndrome, because it supposedly originated in Cuba. Now dig this, because you don't know your history, because you're not aware of the history. Remember the Cuban Missile Crisis? During the Kennedy administration, the Cuban Missile Crisis, now the United States had their missiles over in Turkey. And then obviously the Soviets had their missiles where? Over in Cuba. And they called it the Cuban Missile Crisis. Now remember when we talked about proxy wars, how two big governments go to war with each other and use a nation, another nation, as a guise, if you will, as if as if they're warring with them, and they'll keep up the play. You see, the United States didn't act like, oh yeah, we're going to war with Cuba, knowing damn well they was warring with the Soviets. That's why they called it the Cuban Missile Crisis. They had to negotiate with each other to prevent supposedly World War III. You see what I'm saying? But the fact of the matter is, they tried to make it seem like Fidel Castro was this warmonger and this dictator. But the reality of it is, we know that they were warring with the Soviets. Those were Soviet missiles over in Cuba. Okay, to hide the fact that what? That they had this hostility brewing between each other, as they would like to say, as they would like to lead us to believe in political theater. And so all of a sudden, either the Cubans, who have an embargo on them and are broke as shit, how the hell they getting these sophisticated weapons? So we're supposed to believe that Cuba's not spending nothing, no money on anything but these sophisticated weapons to go to war with the CIA, or it's either Russia. Because we have to look at the example that was given to us in history. Those wasn't Cuba's missiles during the Cuban Missile Crisis. Those were Russia's missiles. Let's continue on.
It was an incredible case of vertigo. The room was spinning. I had terrible headaches. I felt like I was going to be nauseous. It started a long medical journey of a headache that never goes away.
His headaches and nausea were consistent with symptoms that have been referred to as Havana Syndrome, since cases were first reported by U.S. Embassy and intelligence officials in Cuba in 2016. Scientists suspect the cause of the symptoms are directed radio frequency energy.
This is really a silent injury, a silent wound.
And the suspected attacks have not stopped. In fact, CBS News has learned
they got money for trucks and radio wave technology.
Multiple overseas locations have returned to the U.S. this year after reporting similar symptoms. Sources say the new suspected incidents occurred in the early months of 2021, one as recently as March. Lawmakers have raised concern about what's been described as an...
See, what did Henry Clark tell you about those dates? Earlier this year. Now all of a sudden this instability in Cuba right now too as well. When we already know that obviously this is a cloak. You wasn't going to war with Cuba. There's obvious tension between you and another superpower sitting in there and conducting a proxy war, going to war with each other via Cuba. But see, man, somebody please tell these niggas who in my comment section, and please tell these novices who are around here commenting on the nature of what's going on that you can't touch Heru. Please stop it. You're embarrassing yourself. Now, and this is the thing that we have to understand, because now we're about to read a couple articles. I want to read a couple articles to y'all because, even when a lot of people getting caught up in all of this, the police and of course it's there. The brutality is there. We already know that the way that they have seen us and the light that they have seen us has always been there, right? There's always been angst. There's always been contention. But the fact of the matter is what you don't understand is that's the overplay for the underplay. You see what I'm saying? See, what you have to realize, it's an excellent movie on Netflix. It's called State of Play. State of Play. It's an older movie. It's got Ben Affleck in it. It's got Russell Crowe in there. And what's so incredible about it is this is one scene where he's talking to this source that he has. And he works for the private industry. Right? And this guy, they're looking around. I think they're in some sort of square or something like that, or marketplace, and they're trying to remain low key. But then he's talking about the private industry, talking about this is a 30, 40 billion at the time. And that was at that time. It's a 30, 40 billion dollar industry. I love the language that he used. He said, this is wrath of God money that they're using. He said, so what do you mean? He said, what I mean is, inevitably what this means is, he said, and this was a quote, I believe a quote that, this is what he said, and I may be, getting it off just a little bit, but he said something to the effect of, he said, this is basically the fundamental restructuring of domestic intelligence policy. So basically what he was saying, in other words, and he said this too, he said, this is the privatization of Homeland Security. So what he was saying was, who you think gonna take over when this defund the police thing goes on? And you see, watch all these slick niggas. Like it's some nigga, I think he's an attorney, light-skinned dude, indisputable with something or another. He got some sort of channel, and his show is linked with the Young Turks or whatever. Light-skinned brother, and he's always putting these Karen shows and all. He centers off on race. But one thing that you'll see, one of his big agendas is talking about defund the police, because what you don't understand is when they defund the police, which eventually is coming, the private industry will take over. The private industry will take over. Man, come on, man. Let's go to some receipts. Let's go to some receipts, man. This shit too easy. This shit too easy. All right, this came out of corporate. What was it? The title of it is "Here's Where Your Tax Dollars for Defense Are Really Going. The Pentagon Spending is a Scandal of Epic Proportions" by William D. Hartung. October 10th, 2017. So if you want to look that up. Okay? So that's kind of like a shot of it. But, the date is October 10th, 2017. It says, here's a question for you. How do you spell boondoggle? The answer, in case you didn't already know, Pentagon, or Pentagon. Hawks on Capitol Hill and in the U.S. military routinely justify increases in the Defense Department's already magnificent budget by arguing that yet more money is needed to support the troops. If you're already nodding in agreement, let me explain just where a huge chunk of the Pentagon budget, hundreds of billions of dollars, really goes. Keep in mind that it's your money that we're talking about. The answer couldn't be more straightforward. It goes directly to private corporations, and much of it is then wasted on useless overhead, fat executive salaries, and startling yet commonplace cost overruns on weapon systems and other military hardware that, in the end, won't even perform as promised. Too often, the result is weapons that aren't needed at prices we can't afford. If anyone truly wanted to help the troops, loosening the corporate grip on the Pentagon budget would be an excellent place to start. The numbers are staggering. In fiscal year 2016, the Pentagon issued $304 billion in contracts awarded to corporations. Now, these corporations are like Lockheed Martin, Boeing, Raytheon, General Dynamics, Northrop Grumman. See, these are the people with these private militaries who don't answer to nobody, who are above your constitution. If you think the police is horrible, wait till these private corporations are policing you. This is the end game. You thought they'd do something for nothing? Notice what it always is, because you have to understand, when a cop shoots somebody, no matter who it is, white or black, the guns never come into question. They talk about reform, as in you can reform the individual. But when you are like a civilian is caught in a situation where a gun is involved, then it's about gun violence. Notice the difference? Now the gun is the enemy because they don't want guns in your hands. So whenever they do something wrong, whenever the law does something wrong, it's never about gun reform. No, it's something wrong with that individual. But when you do it, see how these blockos don't know shit about what they talking about. They letting themselves, so anytime somebody's like, oh, well, yeah, we're all in the same boat. I can't tell. Because you're running around with this half-ass information. And you don't understand who it adversely affects. We're not in the same boat. We might be in the same body of water. And that means that the eventuality is the same. We'll both end up drowning, but we're definitely not in the same boat. Some of us will end up drowning sooner than others. Because see, that's why I said we have to be a little bit patient because some of our people are at a disadvantage. They haven't yet to have the time to prepare. Remember when I was telling you about, it's an excellent movie, and I swear on everything I love, I said to bring the dream world, and I want you to check, I haven't even checked it out yet because it's crazy how, on Netflix says they just get all up in your business and we recommend this movie for you. And I swear they just be listening to my conversations because I was just talking about a movie where you bring your dreams into this reality, and it's a movie on Netflix called Super Me. Super Me, where this dude actually brings artifacts from his dreams into reality. He becomes rich because he just start bringing shit from his dreams into this so-called reality. I know what I be on is the truth because ain't nothing but truth in me. I keep telling y'all, and it's not us, and it's not our fault. Because we've all been raised off compartmentalized information. Okay? And then we get, a lot of us get involved in these discussions with people where it becomes emotional because we're dealing with information that is not whole. It is not complete. And at the end of the day, the only thing that it does is leave both parties more frustrated than when they than before they left or before they even came into contact with each other. Because see, you have to know the body. Think about this. This is what's deep. Walk with me on this. You have to be a real mechanic of the body. Notice how you can be in your car. You know how to drive it, don't you? Right? Put it in drive, put it in reverse, all of those good things, right? But when it comes time to fix it, who you got to go take it to? A mechanic. It's the same thing with this vessel. You know how to stand up, walk, run, and all of this different stuff. And I ask you, and even some people who like to think deeply, they could say, oh, well, yeah. I say, well, how does the body work? And they could tell you all of the scientific jargon. They could say, oh, yeah, you send these impulses, electrical impulses from the brain into your leg, and then it's almost instantaneous, and you're able to walk and all. But okay, the thing is, if you become paralyzed, can you do that? What you know? Can you apply what you know then? Can you begin to just walk if you want to? And then if somebody, now you're looking to them to outsource now this power and say, can you get me to walk again? What type of technology or what drugs have you came up with to help my body get to know me again? This was the secret all along. The vessel was the secret. There was nowhere you keep thinking about that. This was the grandest scheme they ever had. Running around in they little punk ass Masonic lodges and shit, acting like they knew something you didn't know. Remember, the body is a genius. You may be poor at math, but the body knows the proper calculations all the time, 24 hours a day. This video is about to end. I wish I could, man. We're going for the third part. Hey, Ruhangers, let's go.